Hi guys, welcome to Nick's Knits Podcast. I'm Nick, also known as Knicks Knits on Ravelry, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So hi guys, you can also find me via our Ravelry group, which is called Nick's Knits Podcast on Ravelry, and you can also find out information about my blog, and the podcast on www.knicksknits.com. So hi guys, welcome to the podcast. It's a beautiful day out. It's a little hot outside, but it's nice, and yeah, I think I'll just get right in with it. This will probably be a little bit of a shorter episode, just because I don't have a lot to show you, and I'm kind of busy, just doing yard work and all that sort of stuff. So, we do have two new male knitters this week. Well, one's a male knitter, and one's going to learn to be a male knitter. So our first male knitter is Michael, and his Ravelry ID is Mike Lion, spelled M-I-K-E Lion. And his husband, Kevin, was inspired by the podcast to learn to knit. So hi Kevin, hi Michael. Kevin, make sure that you get going on that knitting, because I'm very excited to see. And Michael, make sure that he gets a Ravelry account too, because I know he'll enjoy that. So yeah, hi guys, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for posting in the Male Knitter shout out thread, and make sure that you do that. If you're a male knitter and you're watching, make sure that you go and say hi in the Male Knitter group. So on to whips. I really only have one whip for this week, but it's, I got a lot of progress done on it, which is good. It is my Handbrake Cowl. Well, so after last week when I talked about that I was going to start it, later that evening I got somebody gifted me a pattern, which was so nice, so I really appreciated that. And yeah, so here's the cowl. It's on kind of small needles, but basically what it is it's based after the Bankhead hat, and it basically, the purl stitches go in a diagonal, and it's nice because it's, it's simple, but it's also really nice, and, simple but has some complexity to it. I'm almost done. I have like 3 more rows left on it, and then I'll cast it off, so I'll have that done, by the time you guys probably see this, it will be done. But, yeah, no FOs for this week, no stash enhancement for this week. Upcoming, I'm going to have a new pair of socks on the needles, 2 new pairs. I'm going to be doing those, one in the Plucky Knitter yarn that I showed you guys earlier here. I'm just going to be doing, it's like an Argyle pattern except with slip stitches. I showed it to you guys last week, but yeah, I'll probably get that casted on tonight, along with a new set of socks, probably my Arnie and Carlos yarn. So that's upcoming. What else? Oh, my hat. Hold up. I'll be right back. I completely forgot to mention my hat. This, you guys saw it last week, work in progress. Did I show this to you guys? I don't think I did. So this is the Barley hat by Tin Can Knits. It's a free pattern. And I used Harrisville Designs Watershed, and I didn't have enough to finish the hat, so I used a different color. It's like a brown for the top, which is fine. This is just for me, so it's nothing special, but keep me warm. It's good. So yeah, that's that. Now I have hat hair, and yeah, I'll have to type that in there. But yeah, I enjoyed making it, and it was fun. Simple, fun. Only took me a couple days. It's been good for me to kind of take a break from socks and get into something a little more instant gratification, just because of how busy I am. so I don't get a ton of time to knit. So yeah, but I will talk about school and busyness towards the end of the podcast. So that's all my upcoming. In the question for me, question for you section, question for me this week is, how old were you when you started knitting and sewing, and who was your biggest influence or teacher? You have a great natural talent, so it's easy to see you picking up just about anything and being excellent at it. Thank you. Are there any other crafts that you would like to try when you get time? Are there any that you have no interest in trying? I once said I would never spin, but now I own a wheel and a couple of spindles. Never say never, I guess. And that was from Mrs. Yarn on Ravelry. MRS Yarn on Ravelry. So when I started knitting, I guess I was in 5th grade. So how old are you when you're in 5th grade? I can't even remember. Well, my brother's in 4th grade, and he's 10. So I guess I was like 11? Is that right? Yeah, it's 4 years. So I've been knitting for about 4 years. And sewing, I'd say I started in 7th grade. So when I was, well, last year, when I was 14, 15. Yeah, I guess I was around 14. So really only like a year ago. Maybe, well, probably a little more. Like a year and a little bit ago. So that was, yeah, what am I saying? Yeah, probably closer to 2 years. Yeah, closer to 2 years. And, you know, I'm not great at sewing. You know, I definitely want to get better at it, but, you know, I've definitely learning a lot of techniques and have been trying new things, and so it's good. Biggest influence. My biggest influence was my librarian. I talked about her earlier, I think actually in my first podcast, but her name is Mrs. D'Angelo, and she was my librarian at my school, and she basically taught me to knit. Well, so I learned how to knit, but I didn't really pick it up until she kind of showed me and taught me. And so it was kind of, she was just a really big influence, you know, somebody that I could talk to about knitting, and it was nice. And we always meet up, or last year at least, we met up at Vogue Knitting Live, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say about that. Are there any other crafts that you would like to learn when you get time? I would love to learn to spin. I really, really want to learn to spin. I have a spindle, I just haven't had the time to really sit down with it, but I hope to do that over the summer at some point. And then are there any crafts that you have no interest in trying? Weaving. I don't have the room for a loom, and I don't find it very interesting because you can only really knit just a flat piece. Same thing with machine knitting. I just don't have any interest in it. What else? That's really it. You know, I've done crochet and I don't mind it, but I'm just not a huge fan because my crochet doesn't turn out just right. So I don't mind it, but it's kind of not my thing. Yeah, so that's the only question of the week, but thank you, Mrs. Yarn, again for posting that. And so, in short, I've been knitting for 4 years, sewing for 2. My biggest influence was Miss D'Angelo. I want to try spinning, and I don't really have any interest in crochet or weaving. So there's that. Now the question of the week for you is, how do you celebrate Memorial Day? How do you normally celebrate? Because tomorrow is Memorial Day, although I do still have school, and I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so how do you celebrate Memorial Day? Do you have a barbecue? Do you go to the beach? What do you do? Just post that in the episode 14 thread in our Ravelry group. I think that's it for that section. And make sure that you post in the episode 14 thread. You know, just let me know what you think. Knitting club update at school. I don't have any more meetings for the rest of the year just because of how crazy, you know, we're coming in towards the end. And at the end of the podcast, I'll put in pictures from the yarn shop trip. I couldn't do that last week because I didn't get the pictures in time while I was editing. So please take a look at the end for the pictures of us on the yarn shop trip. Our cowl. So the cowl that we're doing right now is the Plucky Knitter cowl. Basically, the rules is that your project must be made out of Plucky Knitter yarn. Just typing this into my show notes. Yeah, so, and as my rule always is, one post or one project equals one post. So if you make 3 projects, that's 3 posts. Yeah, considering that a lot of stuff just wasn't really clear, what we're going to do is, so from today is the day, so from the 24th, so today, to the June 24th is the time for our cal. That is going to be our timeline. So 24th, I'll close the thread, and I probably won't get a prize out there until, late August. As some of you know, I go to a sleepaway camp for 7 weeks out of the summer. So basically from the 27th of June to the 14th of August, I won't have any access to the internet, no access to electronics, so I won't be active in any of those types of things. So that is probably how that will work out. Speaking of cal prizes, I still haven't sent out the ones from the most recent cal, and I'm sorry about that. I've just been really busy, but I will try and get that out soon. Probably not until the first week in June, but I will get it out by then. I'm so sorry if you've been waiting. Yeah, I think that's honestly it. 11 minutes. I really just haven't had a lot. I'm just so tired after this school week. It's just been kind of crazy. But yeah, on to blabber. Weather. It's been beautiful. It's 84. It's going to get up there to 84 today. It's pretty warm out. It's supposed to get up to 90 midweek, which is nice. School. So starting tomorrow is my last week of school. So from Monday to Saturday, so 6 days of classes, and then I have 3 days of exams, and then I'm done. So on June 3rd is my really last day. My last day of classes is May 30th. So it's kind of exciting, just kind of getting down to the end. You can tell this week is just going to be really long, but I'll get there, and I'm excited to kind of thinking about, like, once I get to my, next week's podcast, then that means I'll really be coming into the home stretch, which is really exciting. Summer, I'm so excited for summer. I'm kind of excited for June, where I don't have to do anything, and then going off to camp for my last summer is really exciting. And yeah, sewing, I don't really have anything going for sewing, and I'll probably take that out. I don't really have anything going on, and I probably won't have anything going on until back in the fall. So let me talk about, I'm probably going to make this a section next week, but basically like what I'm reading, comic books, or what I'm watching, on TV, all that sorts of stuff, just non-knitting related stuff, as Lisa from 90% Knitting calls it, her 10%. So 90% knitting, 90% of the show is all about knitting, 10% is about everything else. So that's probably the approach that I'll take to it. But so the book that I've been reading is the X-Men, and this is the From the Ashes. It's like a collection of 6 or 7 of the comics. This is my one of my teacher's edition. Like my teacher owns this, but it's really great. It's written by Chris Claremont, who's pretty famous, and Paul Smith and Bob Wyack. But yeah, it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I'm not a huge fan, but it's all right. I did check out a couple new graphic novels and comic books out. One of those being an anthology of some of the Star Wars comics, so that's exciting. But otherwise, not doing much. In the other section, I really just don't think I have much to say. I'm trying to think. It's going to be a really short podcast. I'm just hitting 15 minutes now, so yeah, but expect a longer one on Saturday. Maybe not as long, but definitely the June 7th podcast will be a pretty long one, as I will probably have a lot of stuff casted on, a lot of stuff doing. By that point, I'll be done with school. So in 2 weeks, expect a little bit of a longer podcast. But yeah, thank you guys so much for checking out the podcast. Make sure to check out my blog, which is www.knitskanits.com, and join our Ravelry group, and let me know what you think about the podcast. There is a thread in the in our group that's called Podcast Suggestions, I think, or what do you want to see on the podcast, something along those lines. Let me just post in there, oh, your lighting wasn't right, I couldn't hear correctly, any technical issues that you might have had, or something that I can do to help to make the experience with the podcast better. So thank you again for watching. Make sure to go and get some Plucky Knitter yarn and knit up something, and I will see you guys all next week. Happy knitting. Bye, Nary.